speaking of Marjorie Taylor Greene, President Joe Biden roasted her, in a sense, took a little jab in brilliant fashion. And I'm going to show you this clip, once again making the point that the legislative action the Biden administration has led on getting implemented along with the Democratic Party, and here and there Republicans working alongside Democrats in small numbers, is going to benefit. These actions are actually benefiting in large part areas represented by some of these Republicans that fought every step of the way to stand in the way of Biden in implementing these good policy proposals. And one of the things being discussed here is the bipartisan infrastructure law. Again, some Republicans went along with this, largely a Democratic effort, though, to invest in infrastructure in the United States. And one of the projects that's being invested in is in Marjorie Greene's district. And Biden said this on that.
Working with Midlands Technical College in Columbia to develop training and pathways for folks who can get these jobs. Since I took office, we've seen over 60 domestic manufacturing announcements all across the solar supply chain. One of the biggest is in Dalton, Georgia. You may find it hard to believe, but that's Marjorie Taylor Greene's district. I'll be there for the groundbreaking. Look, just today, the Department of...
Fantastic. He will be there for the groundbreaking, he says. And this reminded me of, and now it's freezing up on me. Let me see if I can refresh that. It reminded me of a site I had come across that outlines the specific projects being laid out and being worked on, and resources being allocated to across the country because of this bipartisan infrastructure law. So you can see here Data to Decisions being the site. If I can remember, I'll try to link this in the YouTube description. I forget 90% of the time though, so we'll see. And it says bipartisan infrastructure law maps dashboard, and I'll kind of describe it for our podcast listeners. You have a map of the United States and then a bunch of dots all across, and you can hover over individual ones and learn about what the funds are going towards, where it is, and all of that. And it's just a super visual way to understand the impact of this bipartisan infrastructure law. All of those projects, because of this action, and again, you can dive into the specifics of what's being invested in. And I think that's a really visual representation of the difference between Democratic governance and Republican. Again, I am giving credit to some of the Republicans that did go along with this, but you've seen people like Marjorie Greene who aggressively stood against it, and many others have to recognize the benefit, and she is, of these investments in their own districts. And then people like Tommy Tuberville trying to take credit for, in a sense, on social media investments that are being made in broadband in his state, even though he stood against the very law that is doing that. And that is real progress being made, not as much as we'd hope that could be made, but it is real progress and a real impact. And that's what good governance can do. And often what's standing in the way of that is kind of either Republicans plus some less than ideal Democrats. And if we could have more of the progressive ideology that initiates a lot of this type of legislation, then we could see real steps forward, as we're seeing with some of what Biden has done during his presidency and Democrats have done alongside with him. And that's super important, and that matters. And so Biden needs to, and Democrats need to, as much as possible, also prioritize the messaging game, because the results are there. I mean, I'll pull it up again. This is real stuff. Real bridges, real roads, real broadband, and real improvements to people's lives. And so it's there in a material sense. Now you have to rhetorically make sure people are aware of who fought for this and what's going on because of what you fought for. And that can make a huge difference. So hopefully we'll see more of what we just saw there from Biden calling out Republicans like Marjorie Greene.